views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
And it's a Friday because Carlos is here.
That's right.
You always have the best dressed Friday guy.
And let's get right to the information of the day.
Uh-oh.
Yep, we received from the Teamsters Local 251, City of Fall River, their letter that they sent to John J. Clifford, Esquire of Clifford and Kenny. This is another one of those law firms that represents many cities and towns for millions of dollars a year to do absolutely nothing.
Well, no, actually, they do something. They obstruct the process so they can make more money.
Yeah,
So that's what they do.
That's what they do. But the letter is signed by, I believe, their counsel, which is Elizabeth Weens. And it says, as you know, the office represents Teamsters Local, blah, 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 memorandum of understanding with Easy Disposal Recycling on April 19th. Pursuant to the MOU, the parties agreed that the MOU is not to be construed as a binding contract between the parties hereto, and the parties agree this MOU is reached in anticipation of a complete contract containing each and every condition and term to be executed no later than May 1st. And guess when May 1st is? It's Sunday. So this is going to be interesting.
And Government Center isn't open.
And our Government Center is open. So that means they either execute it today or everyone's in breach.
Or today, or not at all.
Or not at all, right.
Because they don't come in on Saturday and Sunday.
Right. So although the union is confident it will succeed in its claim against the city, any decision in its favor will obviously come after the May 1st, 26th deadline. Consequently, to the extent the mayor signs a binding contract with Easy Disposal or any other private company, the city will be forced to breach that contract. Because the union has not been provided with a draft of the contract the mayor intends to execute with Easy Disposal, nor has it been involved in any aspect of the negotiations with Easy Disposal, it is unclear whether the city will be responsible for damages to Easy Disposal in this event. It is forced to terminate the agreement. You know, this is just the sum of it, and here's the funny thing about it.
Got to do a summary here.
Yeah, that's a quick summary. And let's look at this. Let's say they go to the Labor Relations Board. And, Chip, as you know, they're probably going to uphold that the Teamsters are in the right and that there is no impasse because none of the criteria, as you described in previous shows, has been met. So the city has a contract for 10 years with a value of over $50 million aggregate, totally together. And we're going to have to enter into negotiations with the Teamsters because they're going to be stuck with them as well. So what happens? If the city's in breach of contract, we got to pay $50 million. Unless there's a termination clause in that contract, but then again, you never know.
Unless we're saved by the city council, they don't fund it or don't approve it.
Exactly.
So that's our only out, because the city has again figured out a way to, as Groucho Marx once said, find trouble where there's none, and then create trouble. So.
Exactly. And so again, we look at this and we say, this is an absolute failure. This is a failure. And then listening to this crap on the radio this morning made it even worse. So I'm not even going to get into it, but, you know, the city council better think about this before they decide that, oh, yeah, we're going to fund it because we have to fund it. We got no choice. Please do not subscribe to the Pereira principle. We already know that the Pereira principle is going to vote for it, even if it's wrong. I'm quoting her. Sorry, Linda, that's your quote. So this is an interesting read, and if anybody wants it, please let me know, because I'll be more than happy to forward it to you right away.
Well, you know, the issue we have here is obviously, I mean, as we went over on previous shows, they haven't met any element of establishing an impasse. They're going to most likely lose. We're going to go back. They're going to be forced back, ordered back to the table by the Labor Relations Commission. And then the city's going to be in, number one, nobody wants a 10-year contract. We've seen what happened in this city with contracts. we get locked into contracts, and then they use it as an excuse not to be able to move forward. They say, oh, we're locked into a contract with the bags. We're locked into a contract with something else. And again, the taxpayers of the city suffer. It's just, it's business as usual. They're going to sign that contract supposedly, and I'm wondering if there's still a blank line. Who signs a contract with a blank line?
Well, obviously
how
the two
much
does.
is the cost?
Yep. And I'm going to tell you now, you know how we always say, let them keep running their mouth because eventually they put their foot in it? Well, the mayor turned around and said that I am all for transparency. I'm being totally transparent with this. It's just that people want the information immediately. Well, you can't get it immediately. Well, you can't get it immediately from government center because we first have to manipulate the facts.
Have to put it in a double boiler and cook it a little bit. That's what they have to do.
That's right.
I mean, we all know that. We see that. That's one thing about this city. That we've seen what they do with numbers, and we've seen that virtually from city council meeting to city council, the numbers change. Look, they've demonstrated again. This is absolutely an outrage for the taxpayers of the city of Fall River. To enter into a 10-year contract to eliminate jobs unilaterally without due process is just unconscionable, and they wonder why this city never moves forward. It's because all we do is, well, we create political jobs. This has become an employment agency. We're not moving anywhere. We're moving backwards, sideways, and everywhere but forward. And it's a tragedy.
The 10-year CJ and Chip. The only reason that I think that the 10-year plays in here is the fact maybe it was the only company that agreed to do this job. And that's, for them to be able to make money, they have to go in the long term. That's the only way that's the only thing I see here. Now, when they say, we're going to give, we don't have, people want the information fast. Well, when I come out and I announce something, I should be ready to answer questions. And that's exactly what's going on. You announce it,
right.
The mayor announced this like a month ago, and for the past month, we still don't have the answers.
But this is the problem. This is what we call governmental lies.
But you know what Fall River. That's standard operating procedure in Fall River. We come up with a plan and we have no numbers to support the plan, or we have numbers that are half numbers or blank spaces, and then we just move forward. I'll give you an alternate thesis on this. Maybe they took a 10-year contract because we do have allegations saying that this company, the owner of this company, is related in some way to the mayor.
Yeah, and the mayor came out on the radio today, because I've been asking him for comments on that for over a week with no comments. And he says, there are rumors. He didn't deny them. There are rumors that I'm related. There's rumors on Oak Fir that, he's friends of me or my family. You know what? You saying that there are rumors is not an outright denial. If it doesn't exist, you need to say there is no familial relationship, there is no friendship, but you don't say that because, again, that's politic-speak. That's what you deny without denying.
A half truth,
right? Exactly.
Which is political, which is politics as usual.
Right.
And what do we have here? Again, a 10-year contract. We're not even sure if it's legal.
Right.
Because actually, collective bargaining agreements and normal agreements are capped by statute at 3 years.
Right.
And this is a 10-year contract. Look, there are so many unanswered questions. This is. I never thought I could say that we could get ourselves in deeper doo-doo than we get ourselves in with some of these bizarre contracts we've entered into before. But here we go again. And you know something? It's ridiculous. But I see the next page, CJ.
Yeah, we're moving up the line now. We're fifth.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm going to object to that characterization. WCVB.com reports Fall River is the fifth most poverty-stricken city in the state with 23.4%. We've had 23 for a very long time.
That's right.
And that's 24, I think, is a U.S. Census Bureau statistic. But I contest that fact because we have to look at we're looking at a tree. We're looking at the number of people below the poverty level.
Right.
Let's look at the whole forest. Fall River is number one because we have the lowest household income and the highest unemployment rate.
Right.
Take the whole picture of this community and see what these politicians have done to it. You know, everybody with a job basically has moved out. And the answer to is to bring in more quote-unquote market rate housing. So I strongly object to being fifth. We're a hell of a lot better than that. We're number one.
Well, let's
Just
go.
as we remember, we were considered number one when they said we beat Lawrence and
Yep.
we had the lowest. We were second to the lowest in household income, and we've captured that crown.
Well, and let's look at some of the comments from the citizens of Fall River. Donna Mazzarella says, I think it might be too late. Craig Martin, stop building projects and exception Section 8 housing applications. Create work programs and program limits for people who get state aid, welfare, WIC, etc. Stop voting idiots into office. Karen Miranda, something has to be done, not just here, but the whole United States. This country economy on this world is
you think
shot.
that was an intentional misspelling? of
Yes, I
country?
do, but I'm not going to get into that. We're a family show. Kevin Paiva, many places are hurting, yes, but we are the fifth out of many, many cities and towns, so places are doing things better than we are. I don't think the answer is simple. I think people in our city need more education, but they need jobs to keep them here, because once people do get an education, many leave. The drug epidemic is a huge issue, obviously. You know, Mr. Paiva, do you represent the mayor? I mean, you know how to sugarcoat this stuff.
Well,
Lisa Souza, it's no secret that Fall River with New Bedford right behind has become a dumping ground for the rest of the Commonwealth and beyond. Our housing authority accepts applicants who have been kicked out of the Boston Housing Authority. So what do you honestly think is going to happen? Janice Correa happy. Not a shock, that is for sure. Let's help everybody. Let's help everybody else except those who lived here all their lives and have roots here. Ken Paiva reverse. Are you talking about TIFs? I don't know where that came from. And then the last one comes back from Donna Mazzarelli again. Section 8, Medicaid, welfare, and drug abusers, back pain, anxiety. Please. It goes on and on. Not Fall River, born and bred. We are workers, caretakers of our own. Watch out for neighbors. Look, now we are robbed at the corner store. Lock our houses up early. Don't dare walk our streets at dark. Worry about our children. How is that normal to live? Never has Fall River been this bad. We always had pride, respect. Now no one works. No one puts it in to our safety of our city. Only the working class out of my check every week gets smaller and smaller. But I'm not going to give up. I will continue to work, continue to support all you lowlifes that have ruined the city until a miracle happens, or karma, whichever comes first. Be a role model for the proud and determined. You know, our politicians are too stupid to read what the public is saying?
No,
Are the politicians so dumb that they can't even answer these statements? No, what are they talking about? Oh, well, Carol Fiola and Ken Fiola said, oh, no, we're going to put in more market rate housing. Market rate housing cannot be sustained in Fall River. We don't have the income. Therefore, that means Section 8. That means low-income housing.
Politicians have selective memories, and they only pay attention to what they want to hear. But because it's worked. And the problem is it's beginning not to work throughout the country, as we can see by the Trump victories. People are just upset. You know, we led the pack. We had the first successful recall in Massachusetts. People are being involved. But Mr. Paiva, we're fifth. You realize that there are 351 cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts. So even if we were fifth, which I believe we're actually first when we look at the whole picture, but if we were fifth, do the math. Well, that means there are 346 towns that are doing better and only 4 that are doing worse. So, look, let's call a spade, as we've said on this show for years. The reality is that we march to this ridiculous beat of this drama that everything's perfect, and anybody that points out any kind of problem in Fall River is negative, a naysayer, an obstructionist, or somebody that's not trying to work in the best interest of Fall River. Well, the only way we can fix a problem is acknowledge it. Politicians aren't acknowledging it. They're going along their merry way. They're doing what they have to do, and we got rid of a few city councilors this time, And who knows? It looks like we got a first-term mayor that may have to go. We may have to clean the council out. But the problem is that, we ultimately are the captains of our own ship, and we're going to have to throw them out again, because it's just, obviously, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked in a very, very long time in this community.
Well, I'll tell you, Chip, something must be working, because you brought up spades. The Gaming Commission yesterday determined that the South Coast, if they put a third casino in this area, being Brockton, they would swamp the market and ruin any economic development and cut into a market that has a limited number of participants. Guess what? Somebody actually listened to us.
Well, I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that somebody somewhere in this state actually listens to something that is a reasonable assumption. Now, obviously, casinos, their niches are getting smaller and smaller. There are casinos that sprung up all. We saw the devastation that Philadelphia wreaked on Atlantic City when they opened up. We've seen what happened with Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun now that they've got gaming in Rhode Island, and now we're going to get it in Massachusetts. So yeah, it's plausible, but do we listen on anything else? Do we learn, especially in this community, about anything else? They're still talking about market rate housing, bringing more low-income people, because we know it never ends up as market rate housing. It ends up as, it ends up as empty apartments, and then they go back and say, we got to bring in Section 8 because we can't get people. Like, we've said it a million times. How are you going to attract market rate people when they can go live in the suburbs?
Hey, I wonder if we can
come to a city that's the lowest in virtually everything.
Yeah.
And I just see this becoming even worse on the years to come, because we still have a lot of empty mills, and the only thing they can get on the mills is housing.
Right,
turning into apartments.
Right, and that's
we
going to
still
make
have plenty of empty mills.
And that's going to make Fall River a dump. It's going to make Fall River a dump. And you've got the preservationists out there who say, "Oh, we can't knock them down." Take a bulldozer, take a wrecking ball, knock all of them down. Create some land that you can put in things that can actually be developed. We have a gentleman from Georgia who says, "Oh no, you can't knock them all down because I see universities and art museums." And you know what? Alden, I appreciate everything you say, I really do. But the reality of the matter is that as long as those buildings stand, they will become low-income housing. So let's not even go there.
And my apologies to the preservationists, but we need one granite mill as a museum, because they are edifices to a period when people think that was a great period in Florida. We got to save these mills.
No.
Have you ever read anything? Have you ever read a history book? This community, they were chaining children to the machines and making them work 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And when they got injured, they would throw them on the rack.
The people, the rich sat up on the highlands, looked down over the mills to the tenement houses that were full of people that were working for $1.25 a day. And as a matter of fact, I've given testimony in front of the council about testimony in front of the Senate in the 1800s about the low wages in Fall River. So let's not try to look back through rose-colored glasses. We had mills. This was a very large textile community, but the textile industry was not great for the people. It was great for the mill owners, but it wasn't great for the people of Fall River. They were hardworking people. It's a blue-collar town. We're not going to create art museums yet. This isn't Newton, where 75% of the people that live in it have a bachelor's degree. 75% of the people in this community don't even have a high school diploma.
Right.
I think I'm stretching that, but that's the reality.
Yeah. And, moving on again, now facing foreclosure proceedings. Again, City Council President Sean Kadim. And his statement is it was a bad business move, so he's going to walk away from it. Now, City Councilor Steve Camara did make good on his payments, brought his accounts up to date, so he's no longer in foreclosure. But I think the citizens' commentary speaks volumes, okay? Zero integrity. Be a man. Pay your debts. Joshua Silva, imagine if everyone who bought a house when the market was high just let their house go. Property values would plummet. What a deadbeat. This kid has zero integrity. For clarification, he is not having bad luck. He's walking away from his obligation. Now facing foreclosure procedure, City Council President Sean Kadim. It's, this is scary. Dan Botello, this is the second time. Dave Smith, not sure I understand this. He must be making $120,000 plus a year. How the hell can't he pay his debts? And then Dan Botello snaps back with $140K. Dave Smith, what the hell? Roy Medeiros, picture that it is 2005. Real estate prices have been skyrocketing again after they plunged. Again, it's an AA cycle. I have seen many times over the years, it's a scam that makes some people a lot of money and a lot of people up excrement creek. I had to change the word with a paddle. So in 2005, the average three-decker can now sell for $80,000 to $100,000 or more per unit. But we have seen this before. The banks say, sure, I'll give you a first and a second on that overpriced POS you want to buy. Question for you, leaving out any of your political views. Isn't the bank part of the problem? And people said yes. This is happening to thousands. Conflict of interest. He shouldn't even be on the council in the first place, never mind being the freaking ringleader. When the tough get going, the weak go foreclosing. Hey, Council President Sean Kadim, read the comments from your constituents. They want you gone. Resign. Step down. That's what they want. That's what they're asking for. Okay? This is the commentary of the people. You know the people you were elected to represent? The people who all power derives from, and neither shall they ever be deprived of their rights? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, I can't do that. Are the clapping police on their way in?
The clap police do not operate in Spindle City Straight Talk. But listen, this again, we have two city councilors who have faced foreclosure. And look, there are people who have financial, issues during their life, and they face this. But both of these gentlemen have had pretty good jobs throughout their life.
That's right.
They have made pretty good money. But you know something? This speaks to the way they run the city. When Sean Kadim was the city administrator, he loved to bond. He loved to go into debt because his idea was, well, what the hell with it? The debt comes due and we can't pay it, I won't be around. And that's what he does with his property. So he's taken a loss, bad business decision, so we dump it. But the problem is, that's his prerogative. I'm not gonna try to get into his head or Steve Camara's head. They made investments, they didn't work out, that's a personal issue. But when you do that to the taxpayers of the city of Fall River, and you saddle them with debt that they're gonna be paying for 50 years, and sometimes forever, because the way we operate is we pay the interest, then we rebond, and then we pay that rebond and the interest, and we rebond again, and we never get anything paid. You can't, this is the problem. We can't elect people like this. If you want to do this in your private life, if you want to go belly up, lose your credit rating, if you want to, that's your prerogative. That's your personal decision, your personal financial decision. But as city councilors, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens and the taxpayers of this city to try to work in their best interest, not continue to spend money, put us in debt that if we ever had a forensic audit, we would be in receivership. It's just wrong. This is, personally, well, he can do what he wants. And some of the commentary is exactly right. If you want to run your private like this, go ahead. But don't make me pay for your mistakes.
Well, first off, Chip, I think you need to give a definition of fiduciary responsibility to the elected. They don't understand that, obviously. Just look at the past 20 years, and we know that.
Let me just say this, and I believe I said that a couple of weeks ago, that I felt sorry for the people that lost their homes, just for the fact that they lose their jobs, and they had to give up their home, their dream, and some of them, they foreclosure because they don't want to be responsible for that that they have between the sale of the house and how much they own the bank. That's why a lot of them, they have forced into foreclosure and bankruptcy. On this case, it's not a case that he lost his job. He gets good paid, okay? So this becomes now a professional. That's what he decided to make that as a business. So as a businessman, he needs to be responsible for his business, because if he buys homes to rent, becomes an income. Doesn't matter where he goes, that will become his income. If that becomes an income, that's how he makes money on. So that's will become his responsibility to pay his business bills, not us. Okay, so that's the problem I have. I have no problem with somebody, bankrupting or losing their homes because they lost their job and they really had to be out of the house, out of the American dream. But on this, comparing to this case, it's no need. He should be responsible for those loans because that's a business.
And you're 100% right, Carlos, because nobody has wants them. There was a period with the predatory loans, and the loans would be given to people who really shouldn't have got a mortgage loan. But the fact is, they did, and you can't fault them for that. Everybody wants to. Most people want to have a home. They like you said, it's the American dream. You have a home, and some of them lost their jobs. Some of them just couldn't afford it after a while, and you feel sorry. But the issue here is, these individuals, especially Mr. Kadim, he was making 4 times the household income as the city administrator of Fall River. 4 times the household income as an individual. Now he's making 5 times the household income as the administrator in Seekonk. It's, as you said, it's not. This calls into question his ability to make financial decisions as an individual.
Chip, he's the financial whiz kid. What are you talking about?
Well, this is what I'm saying. The equation doesn't
No,
it's
it
not
doesn't.
balanced. How can someone who is making financial decisions in the city council have such an abysmal record in his own personal finances?
Well, that's simple.
And that goes for Steve Camara too. These people are controlling the money in the city of Fall River, and they can't make personal decisions, and they're in a very, very high income bracket for Fall River residents.
And the funny thing is, though, as you said, they can't do this in their personal life, and they're not doing it in their professional life, because we're looking at Fall River. Sean Kadim goes back many years in Fall River, from the school department to city administrator and now to city council. And we're in a financial mess, but he's the financial whiz kid. He knew nothing about Windows when he was in office, but then all of a sudden he can throw everybody under the bus. Again, the financial whiz kid. So what do we do as a city? Okay? You can ask him. And personally, if it was me and people were saying things like this, I would say, you know what? I think maybe I have to explain this. And if the city still would like me to step down for the betterment of the office, for the betterment of the city, I would step down. But instead, he wants everyone to file the complaints, call him everything under the sun, and that's not good politics. That's not good public relations, and that's definitely not good constituent services.
And it's not good leadership. But I got to say one thing quickly. I know we're running out of time because we've been kicking the crap out of the city. So I want to say something positive. The other day, I was watching national news, and it really made me feel good. The yogurt company, Chobani, company that started out with 6 people, is a $1 billion company. He made all his employees stockholders. Made in America. He didn't outsource. You see these companies that move out of town, take jobs, outsource. This guy, kudos to him, a business that remembers that his business was built on the backs of the workers.
Yep.
And stay angry, everybody.
Thanks for watching.